What up? Thank you for checking out this video. So this video is going to be different from what I've done in the past at Never Stop Moving Forward. In this video we are going to be analyzing the upcoming UFC 246 card between Conor McGregor and Donald Cerrone. Now this video is different because it is not a training video, well, not to say, but it will look at how two elite athletes who are going to enter in competition against one another would most likely train, analyzing their mindset, their physical strengths, and their skills. Now this is different from any video I've done on Never Stop Moving Forward. I've been planning to do this sort of video for a while because, well, one, I've always wanted to do these sort of videos, and secondly, if anyone follows the Never Stop Moving Forward page on Instagram, you will see that I am very fond of posting videos of myself boxing, and I am a huge fan of combat sports. Cannot even hide it. So this video is going to be looking at their mindset, their physical strengths, and the skills that they pose to one another. And it's also going to cover up, because these are things that anyone training for a physical competition is looking to also set for themselves. So hopefully this gives you insight, and I also like to know who you guys think is going to win in this fight. With that said, let's get into the meat of this video. So first off, we're going to cover the mindset of both fighters. Now, mindset is very important when you are training for anything. Even when you're training in the gym, your mindset is crucial. An example of this is when I first started recording myself boxing, hitting the heavy bag. It took me a while to notice that I actually wasn't breathing when I was throwing my punches. You are supposed to exhale as you throw a punch, and it took me a while to remember to do this, and that's because I felt a bit nervous. And that's the thing. You often hear this in sporting events where people will say something like, oh no, the pressure is getting to them, and that's because doing any activity with people watching you sets a different tone. So we'll look at first Conor's mindset, then Cerrone. With Conor McGregor's mindset, he needs to prove something. He needs to prove to people that he's not just a person who's been given opportunity, that he has the skill to back it up. It's something that he has been hit with for quite some time now. People are saying that no, he's finished. He only fights for money fights now. No, he needs to come and show people that he is still the same Conor McGregor. He's still the man who knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds. He's still the man who dominated Eddie Alvarez. He needs to show people that he is still the same, the great, the notorious Conor McGregor. Fact is, he is in a bit of a must-win situation. That is another thing to consider. Must-win in a sense that Conor's last fight was a loss. Not only that, but for him to gain any proper momentum going into the rest of 2020, he needs to start on a high note. If he goes in with a loss, it will not reflect well on him and all his future plans. So that is something to consider. The other fact is that his last fight was a loss. Now, Conor McGregor so far in the UFC has not had two losses in a row. He has lost twice in the UFC, lost once and immediately had another win. So he has not lost two fights in a row before. So it would be difficult for him to process that if it were to happen. Like I said, all these mindset elements can either create pressure or motivation depending on how you look at it. With that said, let's go into Cerrone's mindset. Now, Donald Cerrone has been asking for this fight for quite some time. In fact, some people may not know this, but this fight, people have been itching for it since 2015. So yeah, he's been asking for this fight. In fact, at the beginning of 2019, he was very adamant about wanting this fight. So yeah, he's asked for this fight. Now he's getting it, January 2020. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Another thing for Cerrone to consider is that he is coming off two straight losses at lightweight, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. He lost against two of some of the best fighters in the world, so it's something to consider. And yeah, sometimes when you come off two losses, it affects your morale, it affects your motivation, but Cerrone has bounced back from a 3-fight losing streak. But yeah, that is something to consider. It can affect his groove, his mindset, and his overall motivation for this fight. The other thing to consider is that Cerrone is a person who looks for a good fight. Cerrone rarely ever looks at situations like, I need this fight to get a title consideration. He's looking to have a good fight. He knows Conor's an exciting fighter. He knows he's an exciting fighter. He knows this is going to be a good fight. So he's going to train just a little bit harder, and hopefully he's going to put a really good show. Next, we're moving to the physical strengths of both fighters. Now, on this point, I'm going to mention the pros and the cons of these physical strengths. The pros of Conor McGregor's physical strength. These are his physical attributes, and they are most likely his pros. Obviously, are his reflexes and speed. McGregor is incredibly fast, and he has amazing speed. He is blessed with fast twitch muscle fibers that let him react incredibly well. This is actually why he has made his career as an effective counterpuncher. The man counters amazingly. If you watch any of McGregor's fights, you'll notice he does things like sticking his chin out, dropping his guard, sometimes putting his hands behind his back, because he knows he is fast enough to react to those situations if his opponents try. And he's made sure he's utilized all those skills to be an effective counterpuncher. So yeah, that is one of McGregor's greatest physical strengths in my opinion. Unfortunately, I have to get into one of the cons behind his physical strengths, or one of his weaknesses, so to speak. That's a better word to phrase, weaknesses. And that is that his cardio. McGregor, by his own admission, has sometimes, and not even sometimes, has bad cardio. His cardio is terrible, especially at 170 pounds, which is where this fight is taking place. Now, many people have speculations as to why it's taking place 170 pounds. I have no idea. But McGregor has bad cardio. Why does this work? Now, McGregor is a finisher. He will always go for the finish. But in the case that Cerrone can drag this fight into the third round, McGregor's chances of knocking him out drop significantly. And that is something to consider. So yeah, his cardio. In fact, McGregor himself admits that his cardio, if not properly managed, is very low. Now let's look at Cerrone's physical strengths and his weaknesses. Cerrone, for me, his greatest physical strength comes in the fact that he has, I would say he has equal power in his limbs. That's his left hand, his right hand, his left leg, and his right leg. I say he has equal power in the sense that he's trained, because Cerrone's origins are in Muay Thai kickboxing. So Cerrone had to know how to strike effectively with all his limbs. Cerrone is one of the few fighters I have seen in MMA who can drop someone with a jab. That is effective. While he doesn't have the greatest strength, the fact that he can effectively utilize any limb is quite impressive. He really, really is good at that. Now on to the weakness. He doesn't have strong punches. Cerrone's strongest weapons, when anyone thinks of Donald Cerrone, they think of his kicks. His kicks are lethal. His kicks have knocked people senseless. But he doesn't always have the strongest punches. In one of his fights, one of his losses against Tony Ferguson, because he did not have the strongest of punches, he was not able to keep Ferguson away from him, and it thus led to a loss. The other thing that Cerrone may struggle with physically is the fact that Cerrone is a notoriously moody fighter, so sometimes he does not warm up before a fight. What does this mean? Well, when you don't warm up your body, it makes performing certain actions very difficult. For instance, Cerrone loves to perform high kicks, and doing those with cold muscles is not a good way to go. It is not a good way to go. So yeah, these are some of the physical strengths and attributes that both fighters possess, and I feel that knowing this is very important. Like, if you are going to be competing in a sport, whether it's an amateur fight or any other sport, it's important you know your physical strengths. Are you fast? Are you strong? Are you someone who you know can hold your own ground? How fast do you move? Even with other sports like football, basketball, how fast do you move with the ball? How fast do you run? You have to know these things. It's important that you know your physical strengths and your weaknesses as you're setting game plan. Now we're going to go into the skill sets of both fighters. With Conor McGregor, he has a powerful left hand. I don't need to say any more about that. If you follow Conor McGregor, you know his left hand can knock out a horse. At least that's my opinion. So yeah. The other thing also is that he is great at maintaining distance. McGregor is one of those fighters who can maintain distance. He can go in, hit you just enough, and come back out just far enough, just so that he's just enough to be in your face, but just out of your range. And also, being a southpaw, he takes full advantage of that. He is a pressure fighter. Like I said, he stays in your face, makes sure you're always walking backwards, a bit panicked. If you've seen his fight with Eddie Alvarez, you'll see that he really made Eddie panic. He really made Eddie kind of nervous and also eager to throw a punch. He has great takedown defense. McGregor is one of the toughest people to take down. One of the few fighters who took him down was Chad Mendes, and even then McGregor made sure that Mendes wasn't able to get a dominant position. He made Mendes' time on top very uncomfortable. Yeah. And of course, McGregor is an amazing counterpuncher. Like I said, he has fast twitch muscle fibers. He has amazing timing. In his fight with Jose Aldo came in with all the speed and power in the world. McGregor just stepped to the left real quick and knocked him senseless. It was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. And yeah, it was awesome. But now on to the cons of Conor's game, of Conor's skill set. In my opinion, and all of this is my opinion, I feel that on a bad day, Conor is left hand heavy. Conor has this thing where he believes that no one can withstand his left hand, and 9 times out of 10 he is right. But if he cannot knock you out, it's very dangerous. His first fight with Nate Diaz was a clear example of that. Conor just kept going for that left hand, just trying to knock Nate out, and when he failed, that's when it's like his game plan kind of started falling apart. So yeah, Conor is a bit left hand heavy. He always learns to rely on the knockout. Like I said, he's a finisher. He's trying to make the fights exciting. He's always trying to make sure he finishes the fight. He's not a point fighter. That's the other thing. The other thing for me is that I feel Conor doesn't throw the jab enough, but that's just me. He will throw it, but it's usually just a setup for his left. And also I feel like he primarily uses his right hand. Like I said, he's a southpaw, so he's primarily using his left hand to try and clear out his opponent's jab, especially if they're orthodox fighters. So these are some of Conor McGregor's skill sets and what I feel are the cons behind his skill set. Now with Donald Cerrone, his skill set, he is a great kicker. Cerrone can head kick like no man's. Head kicks, body kicks, leg kicks. Cerrone can kick you, and like I said, he can kick you with either limb. Anywhere he will hit you, but his kicks are dangerous because the legs are heavier than the hands, and Cerrone's background is Muay Thai. He is amazing. One of his other skill sets is that he's great at chaining combos together. If you have never seen Donald Cerrone finish off Rick's Story, go look for that. Go on YouTube right now, just type in Donald Cerrone finishes Rick's Story. It was an amazing combo that he pulled off, something that everyone still speaks of. He is a precision striker. Now I said Cerrone doesn't have power, but he doesn't need power. He has precision, he has timing. Like I said, Cerrone is one of the few people I've seen drop someone with a jab. In his fight with Al Iaquinta, Al was rushing in, tried to come at, and Cerrone just stuck out the jab but just the right time, and Al literally walked into it. It was amazing. The other thing to consider is that Cerrone can actually take people down. Conor doesn't go for takedowns. He's not a takedown person. He only did it against Nate Diaz, and again that was out of desperation, but Cerrone can take you down. In fact, one of the cool things with Cerrone's takedown is that he times it just when his opponents are overcommitted with punches. And he has great jiu-jitsu. Cerrone can submit people. Cerrone has a good number of submissions in his belt. Of course, the man has the most finishes in the UFC, and those are included, and submissions are included on that list. Now, Cerrone has, of course, weaknesses. There are weaknesses with Cerrone's skill set. The primary weakness is that Cerrone is terrible fighting on the back foot. If you pressure Cerrone, he becomes panicked. He becomes flustered. However, this is not a guarantee, as in his fight with Tony Ferguson, Cerrone was clever in circling around, but Tony was a different animal, and like I said, it was a different opponent. Conor will most likely try and keep the pressure, but if that is the case, then Cerrone will have problems because he is terrible fighting on the back foot. And these are the greatest strengths of Donald Cerrone's skills and his cons. But this is all just my opinion, and of course there are so many other factors to consider. There's the fact that one, Cerrone has been more active than Conor. Conor has not fought for what is going to be 14 months as of January 2020 from his last fight. So yeah, Conor has been inactive for a while, and of course, is ring rust real will be the real question. And that's the other thing. There's also the fact that Cerrone has been stopped his last 2 fights. Well, not really stopped. The first fight he lost was doctor stoppage, and the second fight, yes, it was a stoppage. But yeah, Cerrone has been through some wars in the last few months since Conor has been out. While Conor has been fresh, getting better, probably healing up from all those fights. And these are all factors that can play in. Anything can happen in the fight game. And like I said, this is a different kind of video. If you were able to watch this far, thank you so very much for staying with me. I hope I made this entertaining for you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more content like this. And if you like this style of video, please hit me up in the comment section. Tell me maybe you want me to analyze a fighter, and if you're interested, I would like to post videos of like fight training, because I know this channel is for performance training, but a lot of my performance training is centered around combat sports, since that's one of my major areas of passion. So if you guys would be interested, I would very much love to give you these sorts of videos. And yeah, thank you for watching. And again, if he wants, you can subscribe, and please hit that bell notification just so that you know when I upload a video. And this has been N64. Thank you so very much for checking out Never Stop Moving Forward. Peace.